So thank you so much for coming on the show. It's great meeting you. This is how we meet each other nowadays. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your organization and what you're passionate about?
My name is Evan Sohn, and again, thank you, Chris, for having me on your show. I have the honor and privilege of being the chairman and CEO of Recruitercom.
Nice.
Recruitercom is an online platform for all things recruiting, including our own software to help find and engage. It's an AI-powered software, helps us engage and find candidates across the world and get them interested in different opportunities. So think of them as a warm pipelining tool. And then we combine that with the largest network of small and independent recruiters, over 41,000 on our platform today. And together we help companies of all sizes, from Fortune 50 companies to small companies, recruit talent faster. So that's what we do as a company. It's a lot of fun. Recruiter.com is a great name, so we get a lot of great traffic. And we're really
you got a fantastic domain there. That's absolutely right.
And we're really at the epicenter of all things talent acquisition. So we're really, we really have a good sense of where the hockey puck is going, in terms of the overall job market. We talk a lot about it a lot. So it's really exciting. What am I passionate about? I'm passionate about, solving problems, helping companies solve problems, helping, friends, family. I love my family, married since 1994. So
wow, congratulations. That's great.
Thank you. I always say if we were entertainment, we'd be in People magazine, like how with the subtitle, how do they do it? Almost 28 years, 3 children. So it's great. A lot of fun.
Fantastic. I love it. I love it. So you're the founder. Are you the founder?
No, not a founder. I got involved about 3 years ago. 3 years ago, the company really was a media company. So when you think of a media company, you think of, all right, well, I always look at it, how you make your money, right? What does the purchase order say? Right.
Right.
And, the purchase order for Recruiter.com 3 years ago really was insertion orders. Right. That was the business. You're a media company and we sell insertion orders, sponsorships and newsletters and banner ads and webinar registrations, et cetera. So that's really what the company was doing, is around a $2 million company, something like that annually. And I got involved about 3 years ago, really to say, gee, what can we do with this great asset called Recruiter.com? And to me, a media company, 3.5 million social media touch points, 48,000 Twitter followers, a global network of over 850,000 recruiters and HR professionals, giants in terms of that sort of, target audience. And to me, the goal was, how do you build a platform now that really, really taps into those recruiters as experts, taps into the gig economy, and then really helps companies sort of address those needs when it comes to talent acquisition. I knew nothing about talent acquisition 3 years ago. I know a little bit more now, but really morphed the company 3 years ago into what it is today.
Well, talent acquisition is, if you ask me, it's been broken, and it's been broken for a while. I mean, what do you guys do to fix it? Well, like, how are you different from whatever else is out there?
Yeah. So great question, Chris. Fundamentally, talent acquisition hasn't changed since, I think, the dawn of time.
That's why I mean it's broken.
Yeah, the modality has, but it hasn't really changed. The process is, you post a job, you collect resumes, you screen through the resumes, you screen the candidate, you interview the candidate, you hire. And that has been the process probably since Cain and Abel. When they applied for a job.
They didn't have any machines. They just used stone tablets for the resumes,
that's right? Ironically or coincidentally, the resume itself, it's a French word. It was actually invented by Leonardo da Vinci.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah,
it's that far back, huh?
And I think other than the font and the fact that we put our email in mobile, it probably hasn't changed much. And talk about an antiquated document, 1 page. Like, who does that? It's just
exactly.
But let's deal with that some other time. So if that was the process, let's go back, right? Post a job, collect resumes, screen, 30 years ago, you got your job through the classified section of a newspaper, right?
Yep.
And then, 10 years later, you were Hot Jobs and Monster.com and Career Builder. And now it's ZipRecruiter, Indeed, and LinkedIn. So there are really two ways to do this. And that's it. And there is do it yourself. And if you did it yourself, Chris, you would actually post the job, collect the resumes, screen the resumes, interview the candidate, hire the candidate, or you would hire a headhunter. And the headhunter would go out, and all the headhunter would actually do, and not all, they would do the same thing, but now instead of you being burdened with doing it, they would do it, right? They
exactly.
would
Same process.
Same process, and you would pay them 30% of the salary. Now, that all made a lot of sense when you would have a job for life, right? You were working, and I interviewed you, and you got a job, and you'd be there for 20 years or 15 years, and there's your salary. So what's changed? What's really changed over time is that the notion that Chris is going to be at the same company for 25 years is actually far and few between. It does exist, of course, but it's a far. You look at the overall turnover rates in the U.S., and they've increased so much over the last 20 years. And what you're seeing now in the market today really is the emergence of what we call the job hopper economy. And you're just going to see people moving even more and more and more and more. So if everyone's moving around more and more and more than ever before, that model, I got to hire more than ever before. So I can't just do it myself, but I don't want to pay 30% or 20% of a salary. What's the in between? Like, how do I solve my problem without blowing through money that quickly, right? Without breaking the bank. And what we do is we really provide our services without any, so we do this all on demand with no placement fee whatsoever. So
interesting.
Let me get this right. So for a company, a giant advertising company, we scaled up, we gave them inside of 30 days, 18 on-demand recruiters specialized in exactly what they needed. They used our software and our career communities, and they did 140 hires in 4 months.
Wow.
And
that's amazing.
Yeah, we were amazing. And we paid, what they paid was a fraction of what it would have been had it been a 20% per salary, et cetera. So what we really do when you think about it is we're really augmenting a company's own talent acquisition abilities with on-demand tools and services. So, if you were a small business owner, you're the hiring manager. I don't have time to do it myself, but I don't want to. So I'm gonna get someone involved to do it. Let's use the example of accounting, right? You have an accountant. Your accountant doesn't work 100% of the time for you. You actually have a fractional accountant. You don't call it a fractional accountant. You have an accountant. They do their assignment for you on a regular basis. They're delivering the results that you want. You pay them for their services, and then you're done with them. Or you have them continuously on retainer, et cetera. And they have their own tools. They have their spreadsheets, and they have their balancing sheet, all those other things. So we actually have a service called My Recruiter. It is a fractional recruiter, an on-demand recruiter, or you can call it a talent advisor that will work with you as the small business owner who's empowered with our software to curate and deliver the results that you need. We also have enterprises that, just subscribe to our software, and we run that as a managed service, and we have everything that's in between. But there you go. So what we're doing is we are literally reinventing the talent acquisition industry to make sense for, 22 and beyond.
So do you have your own talent acquisition software that you've built? So it's you've got a version of Brass Ring or something like that.
Yeah,
that you guys are using today.
We have our own artificial intelligence powered candidate source and engagement tool with billions of records, 170 million profiles just in the US alone. We could find anybody, engage them, get them to
how did you build that? How did you build that?
We bought a company a year ago and invested millions of dollars into it.
Oh, okay, cool. So have these people, so the profiles that you have on there, where did they come from? I mean, they came from this other company, or were they?
Yeah. So the old school model, again, let's turn it on its head. The old school model said, I will put a job up in a job post and people will apply to that job.
Yeah.
Right. Throw that model out. Now it works, right? If you want to do it yourself, that works. ZipRecruiter, Indeed, and LinkedIn, that's what they do. We have spent millions of dollars and spend a lot of money every month building up our data. So we have data. We have, 170 million records just in the US. Think of that as every working adult in the US. So we have them in our database. And what we do is we'll say, all right, well, this job that you have, that Chris has, localized job, specific to whatever you need. All right, this is the audience that would be appropriate for that job. And now let's actually market to that group of people. Hey, who's interested in working for Chris? And I'm making it, I'm oversimplifying it, but just to get to the point. And then we get people to raise their hands.
I love it. It basically tips the model completely on its head.
Totally on its head.
Yeah.
Right. And it used to be that like, oh, well, you only want to have the people that are in the job market. But guess what? I would posit that everybody's in the job market right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know anyone who isn't in the job market right now.
That's right.
The moment somebody gets a job, they update their resume for the next gig and the next gig and the next gig.
That's
I mean, what's the average? Look at your data. How often? What's the average amount of time people stay at a company? Like 2 years? Tops?
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So what's funny is, not funny, haha. We call this the Great Resignation, but like it's a greater resignation. Like there was always, the average monthly turnover rate in 2019 was 3.5 million people per month. So in 2019, on average, 3.5 million people quit their jobs per month in 2019. So in January of 22, so 2 months ago, 4.5 million people quit their job. So it's greater. That is a greater resignation. But there always was, when all of a sudden you read the paper, we called it like in October, oh, the Great Resignation's upon us. I was on CNBC and oh my God, 4.3 million people quit. This is horrific. The whole world is quitting. Where'd they all go? The reality is that, no, it's more than, it was 800,000 more than the 2019 average. So yes, it's more, but like, there you go.
It's all about context, right? I mean,
it's all about context. But what's happening, and you said it right, it is so easy to apply for a job now. So if you're a candidate, it's very, very easy to apply for a job. I didn't say you're going to get the job, right? It's incredibly easy to apply for a job. Interviewing, the old days of bringing a suit to work, sneaking out of the office, telling your manager you got to go to a funeral, and all that cloak and dagger, that's gone, right? Because an interview is now a 15-minute video interview. So if we're not commuting, and we can't afford to commute now anyway because of the gas prices. So if we're not commuting and we all have 15 minutes to interview, and I can interview anytime, anywhere, and I could work from anywhere, right? As more and more companies are shifting to remote work or hybrid, well then, I could take a job anytime I want. One of our clients, he was saying, my office doesn't, the challenge we have today as talent acquisition industry is that my office doesn't change. My last name, my email changes, but my office doesn't change. So you could think of all the companies, Chris, that you worked at, that you stayed longer because you really liked the people. We go out every Wednesday for drinks and the boss is fun. We have pizza on Fridays and once a month we do this activity. The camaraderie is amazing. We're all high-fiving each other. Well, what if that's gone? And there's something really
exactly. I haven't had that for 10 years. I know the feeling.
Right. So what's really changed is, the expression, it's a full-time job to find a job. That's actually become, now it's a full-time job finding people. That's really what's changed in the last, 2 years.
So this model, I love this model. This is great. Now the question is, what about recruiters? I mean, are they looking at you and going, wait a minute, this is totally opposite. I mean, I don't like this. I mean, what I found, I work with recruiters a lot, and I find that it's a really tough culture to change, isn't it? I mean, you're probably seeing that as well.
Yeah. So you are correct. Most recruiters, we're not talking about, we don't do executive level recruiting. So, and if you think about recruiters, they were going after the very, very juicy, roles where their fee could be very high.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. No, I'm not talking about
And,
external ones. I'm just like TA within an organization, right? You've got
oh
an HR
no,
department,
so
you got
we
TA,
love
and
we
they're
love
like,
TA.
we want to hire people.
Yeah, we love them. No, they're our friends. They're our
Hmm.
partners. What I would say there is, you want the 80-20 rule working in your favor, right? I would say to them, you spend 80% of your time finding people and 20% of the time having meaningful conversations. We're going to flip that model around. We're giving you a constant pipeline of candidates warmed up, screened, ready to go. And, your job is then to actually spend time talking to them and hiring them, and then work on retention. So,
Right.
we are the talent acquisition person, they're our client.
Hmm.
That's our client. That's our audience.
Right. But I mean, how many of them are still stuck with the old model and going, oh, I still want to put up a job. I still want to get resumes. I
Oh
still
yeah,
want to go through my TA.
yeah. So if we look at, let's break this down for a second, called the ideal customer profile, right? So we have 4 ideal customer profiles. So the first one you're talking to now is what we would call the sophisticated company, right? That there's a talent acquisition manager, and he or she knows, I got to make 400 hires over the next year. Here's how many recruiters I have now. So I need more recruiters, or I need more pipeline, or I need both, right? So
Yeah.
we love those people because they actually know what they need, right?
Mhm.
They know the challenges that they have. And there are both episodic problems and systemic problems that they're trying to solve. And we're really able to help them solve those problems. The next profile is really the startup or high growth company that raised a lot of money and they need to hire very, very quickly. Right. So, gee, I don't want to, if I could hire a recruiter, that's great, but it's going to take me 3 months to find a recruiter, 3 months to ramp the recruiter, yet I need to hire people next month. So we love those people also. In those cases, often the CEO is our client, or the president of the company.
Mm-hmm.
The third is ironically, we work with a lot of recruiting firms, lots.
Mm-hmm.
Who use us.
Well, you have the data, you have the people, right?
That's right. So they use us to both find recruiters. We call it recruiting for recruiters, or they use our software to find candidates, or both. And then the emerging one that we're really finding now, really as a hot market for us, are really the small businesses, because if everyone is having a hard time finding talent, the last thing you want to spend your time doing, Chris, is running through that process on your own. It used to be a lot easier. We just signed a law firm the other day, and he said to me, I'm like, did you try LinkedIn? He goes, yeah, I put a job on LinkedIn for a paralegal. I got 1,000 paralegals, none of whom were paralegals. Right. I got 1,000 people apply for the job.
That's constantly the problem, though, isn't it? That's
right. And so, does this lawyer, does she want to spend every day going through this process, or does she want to have a fractional, talent acquisition, talent advisor, or, on-demand recruiter and software handle her problem? And she's going our way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but as a small business person, that sounds expensive. I mean, is it expensive?
No, not really. I think our subscription, it's all subscription, starts at $12.99 a month. Mm-hmm. I think if you sign up for 3 months, it drops down to $1,000 a month. So about for $1,000 a month, which includes job posting on our job boards. Like it's a very, very, you get one good placement a year from that, and it pays for itself, what you would pay a headhunter. And it scales really, really well. So think of it, think of paying, to take something off your plate. What's it worth to you a month to do that? Is it worth $1,000 of your time to have someone else worrying about job descriptions and compliance with diversity compliance and all these other things? And we're doing it all. We're sort of capitalizing on all the content that we've created over the years, our software and our on-demand recruiters, to really deliver this My Recruiter service as a pure subscription service. Absolutely no headhunt. If I could have a logo, it would say, no headhunter fee, no placement fee. Kind
of like the no software fee logo for Salesforce.
No software logo from Salesforce.com is now, no placement fee, no placement fee.
So tell me a little bit about the process. So what is a recruiter just comes to you already with a job, and then you just scan your database for candidates first, or like how does it work?
Yeah. So the hiring manager, let's call them the hiring manager. So the person looking to hire, they'll work with our talent advisor, right? They're assigned a talent advisor. The talent advisor, they'll have a discussion. What are you looking for? What do you need? What are you willing to pay? What makes your company interesting? Oh, we love dogs. We love pets. Why should I work for you? They will then take that job description. They'll standardize on a job description. They'll then go to our software. They'll plug it all into our software and start running the campaigns to go find the right people. What are you looking for specifically? We'll start, then sending those, candidates over to the hiring manager, the business owner, unless they're looking for screening, and we'll take them through that process. But by the way, that same process, that same intake process, ironically, is the same, Zoom is one of our clients. It was the same with Zoom. What are you guys looking for? Oh, we need Java developers. How many? As many as you got, so it's
right.
Always, it's that same conversation that you're having. You're just doing it at a localized, smaller level.
Mm-hmm. And then normally, do you go straight to your database of candidates first, or do you do an external search?
Yeah, no, we always go straight to our database. And we use our AI to build a total addressable market, make sure it's the right numbers, confirm that with you. Oh, you really want to, do the paralegals need to be certified? What state are you in? Will you take someone who wants to remote? All those other things. We'll build that audience, and then we'll go after that audience.
And a lot of these people were actually already employed. They're not sitting somewhere looking for work. You're just pulling them from elsewhere. They're already working.
It's at the end of the day here, it's a numbers game, right? You're going to hit N number of people, and you say, are you interested? And N percentage, we'll say, yeah, I'm interested in learning more. And then N percentage of those will actually end up, making it through the process.
And then you go through the same screening if they want. Otherwise, you just sort of send the resumes to them.
We will then, assuming they're interested, we'll send those profiles through our portal to our client. They'll say, oh, thank you. And depending on the service that they're subscribing to, oh, Chris looks really good. Can you set up an appointment? Sure, we'll set that up for you, et cetera. And really, those are additional services that we do. And we do everything from, it's called full desk, right? Take the passenger all the way to their destination, or just send them a car, and let them figure it out.
Right. So how old was the company before you started at it?
The company was really founded in 2013.
Mm-hmm. And then you said it was more of a ad insertion network, or how did it work then?
It really was a media company as a destination site for recruiters. So we publish 2 to 3 articles a day. If you Google, obviously recruiters, but salary information, then we have all that stuff. We have I think we score number 1 or 2 in Google for over 1,200 search terms. We have a lot of SEO. Yeah.
So what was the impetus to drive you to do that pivot? Was that your idea when you came in, or was management looking for a fresh idea? Or what drove you to make that pivot?
I sat down with the owners of the company and the investors, and I said, if you have a company called Recruitercom that's not worth $1 billion, someone's not executing properly. Right. So that's really why, and so to me, you look at the talent acquisition industry, and it's over $76 billion a year. It's a huge industry. So you mentioned before, LinkedIn, ZipRecruiter, and Indeed. So they are actually in the candidate discovery segment, right? So Indeed is doing, let's call it $2 billion a year. They're doing under that, but let's call it $2 billion. LinkedIn's doing about $1.5 billion, and ZipRecruiter is doing about $500 million, but let's call $5 billion between the three of them, just for argument's sake. The candidate discovery segment of the talent acquisition industry is roughly $26 billion. Wow. So the big three players, so they're the biggest players, but it's a huge industry, huge.
Yeah.
So
where's the rest of the money? Where's the rest of it going? Where's the rest of the market?
We actually own a few career communities, but you've heard of Dice, and you've heard of every industry has its own job board, its own career community, and you can go to jobsusa.com and topjobsusa.com. And, there are all of these career communities that are out there, and there's lots of them that are out there, and they're all eating into their percentage of that career community. And by the way, there's Glassdoor. There are other companies doing that.
There's tons, hundreds.
Remember, there's still monster.com. There's still Platters. There are all these companies are still out there.
But the candidates are like, where am I going to put my resume? Everywhere.
That's right. So you're really talking about, just a huge giant industry. And whenever you see a huge giant industry, it's usually ripe for reinvention. You mentioned Salesforce.com before, but like I was in CRM back in the early 90s. CRM in the 90s, they were 800 plus vendors in CRM, right? 800 plus. And, Salesforce came out and they took the bottom of the market. Siebel Systems came out, took the top of the market. And then they somehow, Siebel got bought by Oracle and Salesforce took over the rest of everything else, So it's yet they were 800 players plus, when that got started. So whenever you see a big giant industry, it's usually ripe for reinvention.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, it's still a tough haul for candidates, right? To be able to go to all these different places. Are you working at all on sort of improving the candidate experience to be able to? Okay.
Yeah. So what we do is we don't actually say to the candidate, hey, thanks a lot. Go to these 19 different job boards and apply. You're out. We know who you are, right? We know who Chris is. The reason we know who Chris is not only do we have every data from LinkedIn, but we have, you got a mortgage? We have that data. You have car payments? We have that data. We have lots and lots and lots of data. So we know who you are. So the question now is to bring you the opportunities that make sense for you. You don't go, I'll give you a great example. I need a new pair of glasses. So I'm on the Warby Parker website. So now when I go to Google, I'm getting all these ads for Warby Parker. Right?
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? If I looked at travel in an email, and I would start getting ads for travel because they know that I'm looking to travel. So that's really what we're doing at the same level. We're not waiting for you, Chris, to start finding the job boards that are unique to you and signing up for them. We're basically saying, hey, look, we know who Chris is. We know that you just left this job or you just joined this job and you like to switch it. We know all that already. So what we want to do is bring you opportunities that are going to be interesting for you. Now, at the same time, we run our own career communities that are also niche oriented. We run Media Bistro. That's like the largest niche job board for the media, and ad industry. We have finance.recruiter.com. We have a crypto recruiter.com. We have jobs.recruiter.com just for recruiting jobs. We have a number of these career communities and we're rolling out additional ones. So we do have people that are coming, candidates that are coming and looking for jobs specifically in the crypto space. And they're looking at our crypto boards and all these other things. So there is something there about that too, right? So the casual, job seeker saying, hey, look, I want to see what's going on in crypto. So I'm going to sign up for a crypto job board. So every time there's a job in crypto, I want to know about it. And so there is that side of the market there too.
Yeah. Well, I keep hearing that Web3 is like sucking the life out of tech companies. Is that true? Are you seeing that? Are you seeing that happening as well?
Well, look, I think that, the challenge now is finding developers is really hard.
Right.
So
right.
You're seeing the emergence of many providers where instead of hiring a US based software engineer, let me go find an African based software engineer. So company like Andela, phenomenal company. That's what they do, right? They've trained and actually, developed coders, software engineers in order to be part of that overall marketplace. And you're seeing that model, time and time again. And again, I think talent acquisition is similar. You want the right person at the right time, at the right place, for the right amount of money. And that's what we're doing as gigs. And by the way, I think that any industry today, and part of our theory 3 years ago was, what are we doing to tap into the gig economy, right? If you're not playing in the gig economy, you're just missing out on 35% of all adults in the US have a side hustle, right? If you're not in the gig economy, what are you doing? Why aren't you there?
Well, can you get gigs as well, or is this more for full-time work?
Totally.
Oh,
Totally gigs.
so anything goes.
Yeah. Yeah. No. The point is that we have gigs for recruiters, right? Hey, Mr. Recruiter, I know you have a full-time job, but hey, do you want to screen candidates at the end of the day? Sure. Sounds great. Do you want to, right? Why not?
Nice.
Remember, so you can think of us as a little like Upwork or Fiverr, but focused on talent acquisition, just talent acquisition.
I love it. So it still sounds as if though that you're still using the same sort of acquisition process, right? Even though you're doing screening and then it goes up. Like, have you thought at all about sort of disrupting that?
Yeah, next year.
Next year. You have a date already.
Yeah,
on when that's going to blow up.
I think that I did a podcast a while ago called the tenderization of hiring, and I do think that the overall sequence of how we hire is going to change, but not this year, because this year is so candidate centric this year.
Yeah,
that I just don't want to put anything in the way of a candidate. I just don't. I do think that sometime next year, like we have our own video screening platform. It's a really cool platform. Like we have it. And I think that when you're in a customer centric role, I probably don't want to waste my time reading resumes. I really want to just see a 15-second, a 30-second video of the candidate. And obviously filtered, and my sort of theory or my sort of metaphor is, if I want to hire a comedian for my nonprofit organization, right? I'm not going to look at pieces of paper that say, oh, wow, he performed at the Improv. Everyone did. Oh, he was on Jimmy Fallon. Everyone was. Oh, he was voted best comic. Everyone was, right? So what I really want to do is to say, hey, look, my event is April 11th. I want to show me all the comedians that are available to be live April 11th that are for this demographic. And I want someone who's clean because it's for my church. And you're going to show me 30-second, 1-minute video screens of those comedians. And the one that I like, I'm going to go, oh, tell me about him. Oh, what do you know? He was on Jimmy Fallon. Like, in other words, it's all secondary. And I think that, you're going to want to do the same thing, but not this year. You're going to want to say, look, I want to hire a fill in the blank, right? I want to hire a maitre d' or a hostess for my restaurant. Don't send me paperwork. Show me 30-second clips of the people, and then I'll pick the top 10 that I want.
But can you do the same thing for Java developers? Maybe something
Probably
like
not.
it. I mean, maybe not necessarily a video, but
yes,
like
skills-based
some other modality.
Right?
Yeah.
There'll be a skills, but only send me the people that have passed certain tests. And again, Chris, that all works in a non-candidate centric environment. Right. Because if I need a Java developer and I say to the Java developer, oh, before I look at you, please take this test, the Java is going to go to hell. I'll go to the next job that wants me. Like, don't waste my time here.
But you still need that 15-second video. You got to know if you can work with the guy, right?
That's right. So it's interesting. Look, we had a great intern that we found last year, and we totally used our tools, right? And I had 200 people apply. Of the 200 people, 100 we filtered out immediately. We asked the 100 to do a video resume. Of the 100 that we asked, 50 actually did it, and we hired 2 people out of it. Like, it works, right? Nice. Because the reality is, whoever didn't want to do the video, we probably didn't want to hire anyway, right? So there's a little something in there that makes
it's a filtering mechanism. I love it. I love it. All right, so let's talk about the future. It's 10 years from now, 2032. Where's Recruiter.com going to be? What kinds of things are you going to be doing in 10 years that are different from today?
Yeah. So I think the whole resume process is going to be totally flipped on its head. Yeah. Right. Not even a question. Right. So
well, do we even have resumes?
No. So that notion of a resume is going to change dramatically, right? It's going to be a dynamic, living and breathing. It's going to be third-party verified. Right. This way it's all there. We're really shifting to a skills-based society, right? So it's not where you worked, it's what you did at that job, right? What did you do for that company, right? Because now we're a little bit brand aware, but like we're going to really move to skills-based, et cetera. And again, a resume doesn't work if I am leaving if every 2 years I'm doing a different skill and things that I'm looking to do, et cetera.
Yeah.
I do think that companies will also hire for the moment, right? We have a here's the project that we need. Here's the problem we're trying to solve. Hey, Chris, I've got a great opportunity for you for the next 18 to 24 months.
Yeah,
What happens
I agree
afterwards?
with that.
I have no idea what happens afterwards.
Yeah.
We may or may
There's
not
no such thing as a long-term, full-time
Why
gig
should there
anymore.
be?
It's going to be like the movie industry, right? People come together to do a
That's
film,
right.
and
Come
then
together for
they're
a
gone again.
role, get off
Yeah.
done. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that's going to happen is within 10 years, and actually would say within 10 years, is every company with at least 20 to 25 people will be spending money on talent acquisition and retention.
Mhm.
They will have the same way that we spend money today on security. And you might not even know you're spending money on security because it's built
Yeah.
into your email system or your web hosting system or your firewall. Every company will be allocating money towards talent acquisition and retention.
Yeah. Well, how do you think these companies? So there's a lot of companies out there that are still stuck in the full-time employee W-2 whole thing. Yeah, how are they going to handle this sort of pivot to short-term project style work?
Well, I think you're going to balance it out. I think you're going to balance it out with the portfolio. You're going to have people that are, long timers, and then you're going to have people that are not. And you'll start saying, look, let's go backwards. We have some people that are only going to be here for 24 months, and we've created a program where there'll be some people for 6 years. Or, what we're really recommending to people is really talk about progression very, very early in the career. Hey,
Right.
Chris, thank you for joining our company. Here's what's going to happen over the next 6 months. Right? Not good luck, I'll see you later, and I'll only talk to you. The notion of writing you a check when you're ready to leave, that's just not going to happen anymore.
I was just thinking back to all the times I started at a job, and it was basically just like that. It's just like, here you go, and then
that's
no
right,
help whatsoever.
Right, and that's just that's just going to be gone. And like, here's what to expect, and let's check in, etc. And really balancing that out. I think the other thing that's going to happen over time. So we got, you're spending more money on talent acquisition. You're talking about progression very quickly. The banking system is going to, so one of the biggest hurdles we have in the gig economy today is banking. And when I say banking, I really mean mortgage, right? You could be making $1 billion, not $1 billion. You could be making $5 million a year running your podcast as an LLC. And I could get $100,000 for my job as a W-2, and it's easier for me to get a mortgage than you.
Well, you'll get a mortgage and I won't.
That's right. That's right. It's ridiculous. So that's going to have to change, right? The same way that, look, it used to be that what kept you at a company was your 401k, and that became portable. And that wasn't 20 years ago, wasn't portable, right? The portability of your 401k is actually a relatively new thing. So Cobra, healthcare, Cobra, that's also relatively new. So all these things are relatively new. And then the last will be the banking and mortgages. Once that happens, then there's really not going to be anything that really holds you to a company for a very long period of time. So I think those things are really going to change over the next, the other thing that's really fascinating to watch is the prioritization of the next generation is very different than us.
Oh, yes.
Very,
absolutely.
Very different. And I'm older than you, but like I grew up with, there's no problem that money can't solve,
Yeah.
and you watch employees say, you know what, I just want to, when the survey came out, they said people would take a pay cut to work remotely. That's amazing stuff. We're seeing in our recruiter index compensation be down to 25% as a first priority. Work-life balance, remote work, new experiences. And it's just fascinating. I took a day off when my son was born, right?
Yeah.
A day off.
I know the feeling.
Probably because my wife would have, shot me if I didn't. But now you're seeing, paternity leave.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there going like, you take a paternity leave? What are you, crazy? And you're sitting there going, the fact that we're no longer prioritizing the things that we prioritized 15 years ago. And I think the pandemic did that. I think the pandemic really said, hey, you know what? He who has the most toys might not be the guy that wins.
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
but it also became a more employee-centric world, right? I mean, they're calling the shots more than the employer is now. I mean,
Yeah,
look at the pushback on return to work. I mean, everybody
that's
around
right.
here is doing
No, no,
return to
I
work,
agree.
and
But
people are like, "I'm not doing that."
yeah, but
Sorry.
you know what? I'll take it a step further. That's the company saying, look, I'll make you don't have to come back to work, but you'll take a pay cut. Okay.
Yeah.
And like they didn't what? They didn't expect that to happen. They
Yep.
just didn't expect that. Pay, you know, it used to be take a pay cut. Screw that. I'll be in the office tomorrow, sir. Yes, sir. And now,
Yeah, exactly.
you know, once
I think if my wife heard that, she'd say, "Yes, you're back in the office."
that's right. No, but I think it's really again, I think, and I'm sort of jealous. To be frank, I'm jealous that the prioritization has changed, where it's not just about who has the most toys. And yeah, I'm getting paid, and you know, and people are overpaying everybody in compensation. And there's a wage hike, and I see all that now. Like it's there, but the reality is that you know, being home with the family is pretty cool. You know,
Yeah.
and
But we were never given that option. We were never given that option. It's like, this is what you've got to do, right?
Chris, 5 years ago, we were talking about the efficacy of remote work.
Yeah.
5 years ago, it was, I don't know. We did a trial of remote work. I don't think it's working. I don't think it's working. You know, we have one client, you know, very famous CEO. And, you know, 5 years ago, he thought remote work didn't work at all. And now 3 days in the office, 2 days not, where, you know, you could really just amazing. It's amazing to watch this sort of evolve. And I think that we're really quickly morphing to an outcomes-based society. So the final element of like, where are we in 10 years? Very, very outcomes oriented, which is really very skills oriented, which is very, you know, all these things really tie together. Hey, there's an outcome that we want to have. Are we getting through that outcome, et cetera? You know, and if you mentioned before the growth of like the outsourced development world, right? Because the outcome isn't that I want to have 300 developers working for the company full time. The outcome is I want this project completed. Go get the project and then we'll deal with it. The final element here is, you know, if you think about all the macro events that have happened in our lifetime that were related to work, it's never gone backwards. So 1992, the recession of 92, we started outsourcing call centers. Yeah, we know there's call centers. We have some clients that are call centers, but for the most part, it's outside the US, right? For the most part. You know, 1997, Y2K, all of a sudden Y2K came around and we started, what are we going to do? We can't do both. So we outsourcing IT to India. Well, in 2001, did that come back into, oh, hey guys, thanks.
Nope.
Thanks.
We'll take it back
now. Early 2000s, you know, and what was going on in 2005, we started outsourcing data centers. Microsoft, Azure,
the cloud.
Google. Do you know anyone that's building a data center now? Like, hey, you know, I got to run my own data center. It just, again, they're happening, but they're just not to the extent that they're doing anymore. And I really think that this job hopper economy, you know, are we going back to where Chris is going to have a job for the next 25 years at the same company? Sure, it'll happen, right? It will happen, but it's going to be far and few between. You know, I'll give you this one example. You know, if 5 years ago you saw a resume of a 30-year-old who had been at the same company for 10 years, 5 years ago, and the company is not Google or McKinsey or, you know, or Goldman Sachs, you would describe that individual 5 years ago: committed, loyal, steadfast, right? Really good, like, you know.
Oh yeah, positive vibes all across the board.
If you saw a 30-year-old today, same 30-year-old, 10 years, same company, you probably use words like, and again, I'm generalizing to prove a point, risk averse, right? Not interested in trying new things.
Yeah. What's wrong with this guy?
What's wrong with this guy? And by the way, what you're saying, what's wrong with this guy, is not what's wrong with him. How come no other company wants him? Did no one else want this guy? Like, what's actually happening here? And you know, what's going to happen in 10 years from now is you're going to be telling your child or grandchild or niece and nephew, hey, you've been at that company for 4 years. It's time to start looking for another company.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
It's 2 years now. I think it's 2.
It's 2 years. Hey, you've been there 2 years. What's next? Where are you going next?
Yeah.
And I think that shift is going to be, and by the way, aren't you jealous? What a
totally.
Great world to live in. Like, hey, I'm thinking about working overseas. So I'm going to go find a job that takes me overseas.
Yeah.
Right?
I love that.
Or I want to find a job. I heard a great podcast from the CEO of, I think it's Coinbase, who I think it was him. It's either Coinbase or Robinhood. And he was like, I think it was Robinhood. He was like, I was a real extrovert, a real introvert. So I became a bartender. So why? Because it forced me to actually develop those social skills. And I imagine that, like, hey, I want to go work in a bar, in Belgium for the next 6 months. And I'm not viewed as a lunatic.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm viewed as, oh, that's a great skill. Yeah, I picked that up. I really want to do that. That's a great skill. So I think it's going to just be a phenomenal world to live in, much more dynamic.
Yeah, it is. I love it. I love it. This is great. Well, thank you so much. This has been fantastic. So if somebody wants to get in touch with you, wait, just go to recruiter.com or.
Yeah, it's that simple, right? It's evan@recruiter.com. So you can email me, evan@recruiter.com. And if you want to check out our new My Recruiter service, you go to start.recruiter.com, but you can go to recruiter.com. There's like tons of information there. It's a lot of fun. We're on YouTube. We're really just about everywhere. You could follow us on Twitter. I got a phenomenal marketing team. We're posting stuff like all the time. It's really good. So
nice.
Again, Chris, thank you so much for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Absolutely. One more question though. If you're a candidate and you want to be connected, do you already have everybody? You said you said everybody's already on there.
The answer is we know who you are. It sounds a little like,
So if we're not already talking to you,
we're not talking to you. I don't know who you are. No. So I would go to recruiter.com. We actually have a section for candidates. We actually have a product where candidates could actually get their resume in front of every one of our recruiters that matter to them. So it's a product that we have. We'll be building that up a little bit more. But I would go to jobs.recruiter.com, and there's tons of career communities you can go check out, whatever you're interested in. We got a lot of things for candidates as well.
Fantastic. I love it. Well, thank you so much. It was great talking with you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks. Bye.